I'm not the first person that talked to you about the importance of minimizing debt. But here's what I don't think people understand is that when you look at any of these retirement channels, they'll talk about minimizing debt, but they'll also talk about this thing called compound interest. The way compound interest works is that if you save money, you put money, let's say you put $100 into the bank and you're getting 50% returns. So then the first year you put in $100, you get a 50% return. That brings you $1.50 or $150, right? So now you have $150 because you made an additional 50 on top. So now the next time that gets compounded and you get that 50%, you're not going to get 50% of 100 again. You are now going to get 50% of that 150, which is now going to be 75. You see how that works? So if you had a 50% return on your investment, the first year you're at 150. The second year you're at 225 because you have $75 on top of that. And then if you took that and you cut that 225 in half, which is about 112.5, well then if you get 50% on top of that, it's even more. So my point being that it continues to go on itself. Well, the problem is that debt does the same thing in the opposite, because you have $100 and you get 30%, or let's say it's a 50% payment interest charge. Well, now you got to pay $50 on top of that. So instead of having that money, that $50 in your pocket, you now owe that. But the problem is that principal continues on and on and on. And if you take a look at your credit card statements, and I do apologize in advance because I like to keep it completely transparent. I haven't looked at my credit card statements in a long time because I don't use credit cards in the way that I used to. But the last time I looked at my credit card statement, it had on there how long it would take me if I paid the minimum balance every month in the number of years. And I think for me, it was like 20 something years. And so it didn't make sense for me to pay 20% more on my credit card for 20 years to end up paying almost 50% more, 100% more because of the interest that I'm paying on the principal. Didn't make sense to me. So I just paid it off. The point being, if you want to save money, you have to minimize your debt. If you want to have a net worth that's positive,